The date is September 23. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. $1.7 billion worth of crops were lost due to the damage caused by tropical storms Grace and Ida in August this year. Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Audley Shaw provided an update in Parliament on Wednesday and detailed the ministry's response. Simone Absalom Gale is following that story.
Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Audley Shaw says some 17,823 farmers were affected by tropical storms Grace and Ida. He says the most significant crop losses were vegetables, plantain, banana and yam, followed by condiments, fruits and Irish potato.
With an estimated value of $1.548 billion.
He says the livestock subsector also experienced severe damage.
Of approximately 87,463 animals, affecting 3,577 farmers island-wide, and the estimated losses amounting to $60.8 million.
According to Minister Shaw, the extent of the road and infrastructure damage was valued at approximately $150 million. The worst affected parishes were St. Thomas, Portland, St. Mary, and St. James. He says the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries has been providing support towards the immediate recovery efforts for the sector.
$70 million will be allocated to provide seeds and other planting materials, pesticides and other inputs to get farmers back into production following widespread damage and loss of crops. Support for livestock. $30 million will be provided to support the poultry and small ruminant industries. Of this, $100 million of support to be provided, Madam Speaker, $28 million will be made available for distribution through the Members of Parliament. 29 constituencies have been identified with significant damage, and these Members of Parliament will be receiving $750,000 each to provide support in these areas. A further 13 constituencies have been identified with less substantial damage, and these Members of Parliament will receive $500,000 each. The remaining $71,750,000 will be disbursed under the recovery programs being executed by the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA.
Minister Shaw says support will also be provided in the amount of 100 million Jamaican dollars for fertilizers to allow for a 15% reduction in the price for 4 select products that are most widely used by farmers.
The rising cost of fertilizer has been negatively impacting the cost of production for farmers. As such, support will also be provided in the amount of $100 million for fertilizers to allow for a 15% reduction in the price for 4 select products that are most widely used by our small farmers. This price reduction will be applied at the point of purchase to registered farmers island-wide for a period effective October 1 to December 31st.
The Agriculture Minister says he will continue to engage stakeholders on the longer-term support and solutions that can be provided to the sector. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Simone Absalom Gale.
Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has welcomed the news that Jamaica has been named to the Executive Committee of the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and will serve for the 2021 to 2024 term. Dr. Tufton has been chairing at the 59th PAHO Directing Council meeting in Washington, D.C. this week.
Congratulations to the 3 countries who have been elected to the executive committee. And being Jamaican, I want to recognize Jamaica for its efforts and contribution, as I do for the other two members, Argentina and Bolivia. Thank you very much. We proceed now to item 6.1, selection of 2 member states from the region of the Americas entitled to designate a person to serve on the Policy and Coordination Committee of the UNDP, UNFPA, UNICEF, WHO, World Bank Special Program of Research, Development, and Research Training in Human Reproduction.
The committee acts as a working party of the PAHO's Directing Council and is composed of 9 member states of the organization. The role of the PAHO Directing Council is to set the organization's policies and priorities for technical cooperation, as well as discussing matters of public health significance and agreeing on the way forward for the region. The Veterinary Service Division is working with the Jamaica Customs Agency to prevent the entrance of illegal pork products, including ham and sausage, into the island. This is one of several measures being used to prevent the highly contagious African swine fever. Farmers are also urged to practice biosecurity measures, including high levels of hygiene and sanitation, as well as tight control of movement on and off their farms. Marlon Samuels sheds some light on African swine fever, which can wipe out a country's entire swine population, in this report.
Pork is the 3rd most important meat industry in the Caribbean. Jamaica reportedly produces more than 1/3 of the total pig meat in the region. It provides direct employment to thousands of large and small-scale farmers. News surfaced recently that the African swine fever has been detected in our Caribbean neighbor, the Dominican Republic. African swine fever, ASF, is extremely contagious. It can be spread through contact with infected pigs, on clothing, equipment, and vehicles moving between pig farms. Pigs with African swine fever usually have a fever, red blotchy skin, diarrhea, and vomiting. Pigs may also have a cough and difficulty breathing. There is no known treatment or vaccine available for this disease, which can be spread by both live and dead pigs. The only way to stop it is to depopulate all affected or exposed swine herds. Farmers are urged to immediately report animals with any of the signs outlined to the Ministry of Agriculture. To tighten Jamaica's border control to prevent the disease, Jamaica's Customs, Immigration, Marine Police, and the Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard are all on alert. For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
In a historic first, a woman will lead the Jamaica Defense Force. Commodore Antonette Wemyss Gorman will be appointed to the post of Chief of Defense Staff after it was announced on Wednesday by the Defense Board that incumbent CDS Lieutenant General Rocky Meade will retire. Commodore Wemyss Gorman will be promoted to the rank of Rear Admiral. Her promotion and appointment take effect in January 2022. In a release, the Defense Board salutes outgoing CDS Lieutenant General Rocky Meade and thanks him for his exceptional service to country and his visionary leadership of the JDF. General Meade served the Jamaica Defense Force for 38 years. He was appointed Chief of Defense Staff on December 1, 2016. Commodore Antonette Wemyss Gorman is a career officer whose 29 years of service has been characterized by notable achievement and exceptional service to the Jamaica Defense Force. She has performed at the strategic level of command within her technical area of expertise and in other domains, both internal and external to the JDF. She holds a master's degree with distinction in national security and strategic studies from the University of the West Indies. As we roll into the business report, it's a mixed bag for motorists. There's been a decrease in gasoline prices, but the price of diesel is up at the pumps. We track these and other market movements. Motorists should pay less at the pumps this week for gasoline, but brace for an increase in the price of diesel. According to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam, 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $150.28 and $155.90 per liter, down by $2.01 and $2.31 each. Automotive diesel fuel saw an increase of 87 cents and will be sold for $146.09 per liter. Ultra-low sulfur diesel is up by 91 cents and will be sold for $151.54 per liter. Kerosene had a price increase of $1.91 and will be sold for $124.07 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum increased in price by $3.06 and will be sold for $75.06 per liter. Butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $80.77 per liter, following an increase of $2.22. Be on the lookout for price changes as marketing companies and retailers will add their markup to these prices. In foreign exchange trading for Wednesday, September 21, the US dollar sold for an average $148.50. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $117.46. The pound sterling traded for $204.50, and the euro sold for an average $176.84. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index declined by 2,052 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 96 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 49 declined, and 12 traded firm. The Junior Market Index advanced by 66 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Barita Investments Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Elite Diagnostic Limited. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited was the volume leader with over 3.9 million units, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 2.7 million units, and Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with 2.6 million units. In market data for oil, prices eased but remained well above $75 a barrel on Thursday, supported by growing fuel demand and a draw in U.S. crude inventories as production remained hampered in the Gulf of Mexico after two hurricanes. Brent crude futures slid 0.63% to $75.71 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures lost 0.71% to settle at $71.21 a barrel. Here are some of the stories making headlines across our region. The unvaccinated continue to make up the majority of cases and deaths due to COVID-19 at St. Lucia's Respiratory Hospital. The island's immunization manager is once again making an impassioned plea to St. Lucians to roll up their sleeves and take the shot to ensure protection against COVID-19.
Almost all of St. Lucia's COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths over the last 6 months are unvaccinated. This is according to information from the Health Ministry. Health officials are worried about the rising number of unvaccinated people admitted to medical facilities and added pressure to workers and the system.
We have noted unfavorable outcomes in persons of varying age groups and health profiles. Some vaccinated, whilst the significant majority were not. Our condolences to the families and loved ones of these individuals. From February 2021, when vaccines were introduced, until current, statistics show that unvaccinated persons account for 96.6% of hospitalizations. Partially vaccinated persons account for 2% of hospitalizations. Fully vaccinated persons account for 1.4% of hospitalizations. Unvaccinated persons account for 96.7% of deaths. partially vaccinated persons account for 2% of deaths, whilst vaccinated persons account for 1.3% of deaths.
Immunization manager Tekla Baptiste is appealing to persons to get both doses of the jab to minimize chances of severe illness and death.
It doesn't get any simpler. Vaccines save lives. It reduces the risk of hospitalization and death. Being unvaccinated is a risk, not only for you, but also for those around you. Of note is the significant number of persons who are partially vaccinated with only one dose of vaccine. Approximately 1,843 persons, that is 4.2% of total vaccinated in country, are overdue for the second dose of the vaccine. Again, I reiterate the importance of being fully vaccinated. This is the best way to ensure protection against COVID-19.
Data shows that persons 24 to 49 years are the second highest cohort receptive to the vaccines.
As of Saturday, September 18, 2021, 43,431 first doses and 29,146 second doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered, 7 months since the introduction of the COVID-19 vaccine to the population. 16.1% of the population has received the 2 recommended doses of the vaccine. The highest uptake of the vaccine remains amongst the 50 years and older age group, followed by those 24 to 49 years.
The Health Ministry continues to call on persons to make appointments with the various health centers to get vaccinated. Additionally, the ministry is appealing to the public to follow the infection and prevention control measures to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Gina Filippi, HTS News Force.
As the climate crisis continues to disproportionately impact small island developing states, Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown is making an urgent appeal for collective action.
More frequent storms, more powerful storms, and also would have seen more frequent droughts, ocean acidification, and a plethora of problems that literally would have undermined our development.
The nation's leader highlighting some of the perils plaguing small island developing states as a result of the climate crisis. The crisis, however, is expected to worsen. 3 Category 5 hurricanes have ravaged Caribbean nations in the last 5 years.
Funds that ordinarily would have been deployed towards human development have had to be utilized in order to rebuild the economies, to rebuild their infrastructure, their buildings. And as a consequence, there would have been a reduction in income, an increase in poverty.
For the 2021 Atlantic hurricane season, the US-based National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration predicted the development of 15 to 21 named storms. With the hurricane season not yet in its most active period, there have already been 17. Prime Minister Brown shares what the country has been doing to mitigate the worsening crisis.
Green energy technologies constitute about 20% of our energy mix. Our sister island, Barbuda, is now being transitioned into a totally green island community. Perhaps it will become one of the first in the world. In fact, it's literally a year away from becoming a totally green community.
PM Brown has this message for the global community.
I think they need to hold their representatives accountable to ensure that they have a very strong climate agenda, commitment to literally keeping the planet healthy.
The 2021 United Nations Climate Change Conference, or COP26, will convene in November. Reducing global carbon emissions and the switch to renewable energy sources will be some of the conference's main focuses. Rakib Aparicio reporting for ABS News.
There are estimated over 250,000 peace poles in every country in the world dedicated as monuments to peace. The Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain in Trinidad and Tobago has installed a peace pole in the capital city to celebrate International Day of Peace. Kimberly D'Souza tells us more.
The Rotary Club of Central Port of Spain installed the first peace pole in the capital city of Port of Spain to commemorate International Day of Peace. President of the Rotary Club, Percy Parker Williams, said peace poles are recognized as the most prominent international symbol and monument to peace.
The 2021 theme for the International Day of Peace is Recovering Better for an Equitable and Sustainable World. We are all invited to celebrate peace by standing up against acts of hate, online and offline, and by spreading compassion, kindness, and hope in the face of the pandemic and as we recover.
Mayor of Port of Spain, Joel Martinez, said the pole will stand as a representation of hope and peace.
As the United Nations indicates, celebrating peace includes spreading compassion, kindness, and hope. And so, even in the midst of the pandemic, we continue to work for our citizens to feel comfortable and safe in this space.
Rotary District 730 Peace Chair Debbie Rupchan said the United Nations has asked people to spread kindness and compassion on the day.
Peace and conflict prevention is one of the 7 areas of focus for Rotary. And today, on the International Day of Peace, as declared by the United Nations, it is really nice to see this sort of activity taking place in the capital.
The peace pole bears the message, "May peace prevail on earth," in 8 languages, including English, French, and Dutch, which are the official languages of the Rotary District 730. Kimberly D'Souza, TTT News.
We kick off sports with football. Tivoli Gardens Football Club blanked Very United Football Club 4-0 in their return leg quarter-final of the Jamaica Premier League at the UAJFF Captain Horace Burrell Centre of Excellence on Wednesday. Tivoli advances to the semi-finals 4-0 on aggregate. Last Saturday's first leg ended in a 0-0 draw at the same venue. Goals from Stephen Barnett, Trayvon Reed, Horatio Morgan and Jermaine Johnson sealed the deal for the West Kingston-based team. Mount Pleasant Football Academy also booked a place to the semi-finals after holding Harborview to a 1-1 draw in their second leg quarter-final match. They emerged 4-2 on aggregate. And that's our package. Join us tomorrow, same time, same place, as we bring you more news right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.